Okay, so thank you everybody for joining. Today we have Andrew Helgeson and Kiera Christensen joining us. Andrew is from Fidelity National Title and Kiera is from SkySlope, and they're going to be talking about a great new thing that they've got to offer us. So I'm really excited. I'm just basically going to hand the floor right over to them. So go ahead, you guys.
Thank you. I'll introduce Kiera and let her just take the floor. And Kiera, do you want to be able to share your screen? Does Rachel need to make you host? Would that be helpful?
I believe, yes, they would be helpful. I have a little presentation for us, and then we're going to demo a couple of things.
Perfect,
yep,
Rachel.
All set to go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So Kiera's with SkySlope. It's actually a Fidelity family of companies company. So you have access and many of you use SkySlope through your Realty One group. It's a transaction coordination software. It is fantastic. There are transaction coordination systems in there. You can also have your own TCs, and they just launched a whole new piece to the puzzle called Breeze, which is really exciting and helpful and easy to use as well. So without further ado, I'm just going to hand it right over. Thank you, Kiera.
Awesome. Thanks, Andrew. Let me go ahead. I'll share my screen here. I got a little presentation to get us started. So perfect intro. Yes, my name is Kiera. I work here at SkySlope. We originally started as a DTM, a data transaction management platform. Really wanted to be all encompassing. Please excuse the very obnoxious background. We're in the process of soundproofing some of the pods in our office, and they went with this lovely checkered. So not quite on brand with our SkySlope colors, but we are going to dive in and take a look at Breeze, which is our newest disclosure tool. So this works hand in hand with all of our other SkySlope products, which I'm going to show you how they interact with one another. But you can also use this as a standalone product. So if you are not currently logging into SkySlope, you're not utilizing some of these other features, understand that Breeze is a free disclosure tool. You can access it using breeze.skyslope.com. You can create a free account. You can play around with everything that we touch on here today. But of course, it does work alongside the rest of our SkySlope products, which we will also cover. So to jump in here, we've kind of knocked out those introductions already. I've gotten one more that I'm going to highlight before we dive into how our SkySlope products are going to communicate with one another. We'll talk a little bit more about those disclosure challenges and solutions before we dive into a quick demo. Feel free to disregard that little bottom piece in regards to Connect. But we do have additional resources if you're looking to kind of revisit what we cover here today. If you've got an idea of how you'd like to use this tool, we'll show you how to set up those accounts, really so that you can send yourself some envelopes, gain that user experience, see how these come right on over. But the goal is to really alleviate the back and forth between agents and their clients with these hefty packets. So to complete out that intro portion here, we have this incredible support team. So regardless if you're using SkySlope as its all-encompassing platform, or if you're just choosing to use Breeze, I always like to remind you, huge resource. We know that your job is not the typical 9 to 5. We don't staff that way. We're just not in that type of industry. They're 24-hour support. They answer on that second ring, 10-second chat response, whatever your preference is. If you're working with clients all day, don't really want to talk to another person, shoot us over an email, no problem. So I always like to highlight, this is one of the best resources here at SkySlope and comes included with this tool.
Kiera, just for reference, just so you know, all the agents in our office are required to use SkySlope. So there's no one not using it. So essentially like
even better
add-ons, maybe some people won't use Breeze, but yeah, everyone's required to use SkySlope. So we're all, yeah, we love SkySlope.
Perfect, even better. Oh, awesome. Then we'll dive in. So yes, we have our SkySlope DTM, which Breeze is going to fully integrate with. So just like you're used to uploading those documents to your property files, anything that you send through Breeze and of course SkySlope forms as well will automatically upload in these property files. So you don't need that extra movement. You never need to leave your SkySlope platform. You're going to utilize that apps button to be able to toggle between the different sides of the account. So I just like to highlight them here, so we have an understanding of how that movement looks. The first is going to be that DTM or SkySlope Prime or SkySlope Suites, depending on when you've joined SkySlope. We've just internal verbiage versus external changes all the time. But we've got our main SkySlope DTM platform, which you're currently logging into to turn in documents to these property files. And then we have, of course, SkySlope Forms, which is our fully integrated forms tool. You can send these documents out. All you need is that NRDS ID. but it is included with the rest of your platform. So if you've not had a chance to try out SkySlope Forms, same thing, send yourself some envelopes, grab that user experience, test it out. No harm, no foul. It's free to use, available in your account. And then of course we have Breeze, which is what we're going to look at here today, which is really going to simplify that experience for agents and sellers. It's all about those client-facing disclosures, these tiny little check boxes, these text fields. We run into a lot of issues back and forth between clients and our agents. So we're going to smooth that process out by providing a guided experience. However, all of the sides of the platform communicate with one another. We're eliminating that double data entry. If you do choose to use SkySlope Forms, Breeze is going to mirror those actions, send out those documents using the same information already provided. Everything lines up really nicely, smooths out that workflow. So we're going to highlight how they are going to speak with one another, but just like to touch on those different parts as we maneuver. And of course, we came up with Breeze based off of feedback from agents using SkySlope Forms. There was still a piece missing, which had to do with those client-facing disclosures. We went ahead, took those out of your standard e-signature tool, DigiSign, that we have currently in Forms, and we provided a guided workflow so that we're really taking away that back and forth, giving the agents a lot more time back in their day, but it's also giving those sellers that confidence to return back these documents on the first go around. So peace of mind across the board is what we're going for. So let's go ahead, we'll dive into my demo account, we'll press all the buttons and see what it does. All right, so I went ahead, I was able to log into my agent demo account. So you'll notice, of course, your Realty One will be nicely branded. You'll have all of this catered to your brokerage. But historically, I like to jump into my demo account so I can just send out random things. And you'll notice the apps button up at the top of your screen. So you'll get logged in as normal, be greeted by your normal dashboard, and then you'll locate this apps button up at the top. Now here, when you drop down apps, this gives you the ability, of course, to access our SkySlope Forms tool. Jump into DigiSign, of course, that fully integrated e-signature tool. And now you're going to have that option of Breeze. Now, if you've never used Breeze before, you've never clicked into this, you might not see it in this app's drop-down menu. You might need to click into Forms first, and then it will be available in that drop-down menu. So it will generate this shortcut here once you click into it for the first time, if it is not currently on that home base for you, so no worries. But we'll jump right on into our Breeze tool here, and you'll notice that I have this new dashboard. Now I'm greeted, this little smiling face up at the top, we call her Tay. And what Tay does is she grabs all of the information from the different sides of the SkySlope platform to eliminate that data entry. And you'll notice here, I have a navigation bar over on the left-hand side, gives me these same shortcuts as I have from my home screen. And I also have that apps button if I need to toggle back. So this will help you navigate through. You've got SkySlope, that main home base, or you can switch right into Forms. And then of course, that SkySlope support team that I mentioned earlier is always going to be available here underneath Get Help. So keep those in your back pocket as you're moving through your account. And Breeze is designed to work really well for teams. So if you have transaction coordinators or assistants, anyone that you would like to send out these disclosures on your behalf, more than welcome to do so. You'll simply click right in to invite your team. You'll see I have a couple of collaborators here ready to go. But to share or request access, simply drop this little menu down here, and this will shoot them over an email. So if you are the assistant to an agent and you know that they do not log into their SkySlope account, you do it for them, whatever the case might be, rest assured they do not need to log into Breeze to provide this access. You can send them a request and they can approve that through their personal inbox. So if you're trying to do this quickly, no worries, they don't need to be in front of a computer. They can pop in and give you the A-OK, so you can send those disclosures out. Same process if you have an admin or an assistant. They don't necessarily need to log into Breeze. We can give them that access through your personal inbox. And that's as simple as it is. Provide that access.
Question?
Absolutely.
Sorry.
Oh, no, you're good.
So I'm the office TC actually. And so do they have to grant permission for you to send out the disclosure from them? Or if I have admin status,
they will still need to just, Yeah, and that's why we do send it to their personal inbox with that same knowledge. I hear that a lot. Can I just, shoot it out there? Legally speaking, we just need them to press that A-OK button, since it will stamp their license information onto those forms. So in order to kind of take their spot in that sense, we just need them to give that OK button, which they can do in their personal inbox as soon as you shoot over that request.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you'll see them all. They'll pile in right here. And then when we actually head back on home, perfect segue, thank you. We're going to start some new disclosures, but you're going to notice that when you do have connections to your team members, you will see their properties listed underneath. So if they are currently using SkySlope forms, it'll provide that nice integration here, giving us access to those clients and properties that they've already started. So I personally am not set up right now to TC on behalf. I'm going to step into that role of an agent and do this on behalf of myself today. So these are my client properties that are coming right on over from my forms tool. So I've got 2 separate sellers here. I already had a chance to send out these disclosures. So today I'm going to send out the disclosures for this L Street property. Now this information is sitting here because I use SkySlope forms to send out that listing packet, gather the rest of that information that I needed before sending out those disclosures. But you by no means need to use SkySlope forms to use Breeze. So we'll go ahead, we'll start a new disclosure, get this sent out to my L Street property. So you'll see I have the ability to create new, or I can toggle over. So if you're not using SkySlope forms, you have a preferred route, feel free, just enter in that information here. Today, for our demo purposes, I will use that shortcut. We'll grab that L Street property. And Ms. Tay here, she's going to ask which disclosures we'd like to send. So you'll notice that this is going to incorporate the chunky disclosures. These are the ones that are notorious for coming back unfinished or having issues, missing data, whatever the case might be. I'm going to incorporate these 2 underneath that TDS and that SDQ, but these disclosures will generate for what is frequently ordered in your area. So mine is right now set up for, I believe I selected a Sacramento property. So for Sacramento, these are frequently used disclosures. Now we're always adding new ones. If you do see one missing that you would like added sooner than later, chat in with our support team. This is a brand new tool, so we're really excited to continue making these improvements. And to get these guys ready, I'm going to go ahead and choose these 4. I'll enter in that APN, that parcel number. And now Tay would actually pull that from the MLS for me. Same thing with what year this property was built if it was a live listing. But because today, 1978, so we'll do it in 1977. But today it's a demo property, so I'm just entering this in manually. However, you'll notice that she already has my client's information. She's pulling this right on over from that forms tool. I don't need to duplicate any information. And within a few clicks, I'll confirm this all looks good to go and send that right on off for my client to access. Perfect. So I now have this nice branded dashboard here where I can track my client's progress. Now this is a big one, especially with these hefty disclosures. You can actually keep an eye on these in real time. So as soon as my client opens up any of these documents, it'll change that status to in progress. And then my view button would actually show me and refresh as they continue to answer questions. So if they call you, they say, hey, I'm very confused on this specific question, you can pop right into Breeze and click view, and it will bring you to the question that they're currently working on. So there's no guessing. You're not, fumbling around looking to see if that verbiage matches. You're good to go. This shows it to you right away. It'll even highlight it in yellow as well. And while these guys are currently out for signature, you also have the ability here to pre-open escrow. So this is a fun one. Last thing you want is a lien associated if you've got 10-day close, whatever the case might be. You have the option to choose your escrow or title company contact. Now what this does, you can even add your own if you search and you don't see one that you would like to use, or if you have a exclusive provider, of course, you can add them in. I'll select Miss Sati here. I can also choose to default this contact for future listings. which I definitely recommend. It'll take this 3-step process and turn it into a 1-click process. And it'll just nicely prepare an email, including all of the information within this property file. So I'm just going to deviate that from actually landing in Ms. Sati's inbox. But you'll see I have that subject line set up for my property. I can draft a custom message if I'd prefer, but it's going to drop all of the information needed for them to get started. We'll go ahead and choose to pre-open. We'll scroll on down a little bit here and you'll see I now have this pre-opened with Ms. Sati. If I hover my mouse over these 2 icons here, I can grab her contact information as well. So this is all being accomplished on that agent level. So let's go ahead. We're going to pivot into that, let's see here, that client's view and take a look at that envelope now that it's landed in their inbox. So I'll go ahead and bring this up for us. There we are. So here I have my disclosures needed. So this is the email that my client has received. Taking a look, requesting them to fill out those seller disclosures. They'll dive right in. Now we've created them their own landing page. However, we will have them accept that this is legally binding. I'll let my internet catch up with us here. There we go. And of course, we'll confirm that property address is correct. Can't move forward unless this is all good to go. So we'll say yes. And now Michael has his own dashboard. So my client now has this nice landing page. They can get started with these disclosures. And we can track their progress from our own portal. Now I know these guys are pretty big for demo purposes. I'm going to use that earthquake risk disclosure. We'll go into this form here and you'll see it's nicely separated into parts. Now this is especially useful with that SPQ, that TDS, because they are so long. Your client doesn't feel overwhelmed in that sense. We'll go ahead and count down their progress and they can always leave and resume as needed. However, the beauty of Breeze is it does 2 separate things with the intro. Not only does it tell the seller why we're asking these questions. Hey, if you see this verbiage, this terminology, it's here to make sense for you. We're all good to go. So not only why we're asking these questions, but how to provide back the correct information. So not only are we educating them for why this form is important, but how to accurately provide back that information and what certain answers mean. So again, eliminating that back and forth, my agent does not need to walk me through this process. We'll do it for you. Now we'll go ahead and get a nice checkbox indicating we've completed our introduction. We'll dive into those property features here and you'll see again, we're not dealing with tiny checkboxes by any sense. Nice guided workflow. However, let's go ahead, we'll go screws right on through here. Let's say even with this, I'm not quite sure what a cripple wall is, but I actually can reference underneath here, I have a guide. So if I click view guide, it'll open up a new tab for me. It's going to drop me right on over to page 17, where I can now read further into that description. I have my pictures. You'll see this is sending me right on over to my homeowner's policy. So straight California document, we're good to go. Check those diagrams, make sure that I'm educated enough to answer this question, and I can roll right on through. So same process here. Let's say I want to skip this question. You'll see it allows me to move forward, but when we reach the end here, a lot of questions. There we go. Front and center, I have an incomplete item. So of course I can send this back to my agent. Same process, it'll highlight it nice, bold, and in yellow. However, 2 actions will happen if I choose to review and send with this error message. First, not only will it alert my agent that there's an incomplete item here, highlighting that, but it will also email the seller directly. So it'll send this right on back to the seller and say, hey, are you sure? We noticed that there's something missing. So it gives them kind of an opportunity there to complete out these documents without you as an agent needing to bring this to their attention once again. Now, not only from that email, but from their disclosure or their dashboard here as well, it'll lead me right to that one incomplete question. I don't need to go searching for it. I don't need to re-answer any questions or click next by any means. I'll go ahead and say does not apply, and it will lead me right back. We've got that stamp, and this document is now ready to be reviewed and sent. Thank you, SkySlope. You'll have a lot of guided workflows, especially for your first go around here in Breeze, but this will simply display all of this information on our nice legal form. Once I am happy, I'll come down to the bottom and send for review. Perfect. So now I have this checkbox. I've completed this document, and I can easily jump in, begin any of my other documents here. But, you know, I've got other things to do. I'm a client. I'm not going to sit here all day. So let's say I do pop out of this. I'm not ready to complete it. From the agent perspective, there we go. I'm now going to have a nice active status bar moving right on through, showing me what's going on. So they have not started that TDS or that SPQ quite yet. However, I can review this completed earthquake risk disclosure, and I can see that that lead-based paint disclosure is in progress. Now, all of these documents will need to be turned in before we send out for signature. So we will review all 4 documents before it gives us the opportunity here to send. And instead of this resend option, it'll actually say send for signature, and it will automatically link up with DigiSign, return it to that property file, and also provide you with that status within Forms. So if you have an assistant that's sending out these disclosures on your behalf, you can always check that status within Forms. Again, you don't need to log all the way into Breeze. This will simply communicate with all sides of your SkySlope platform, so everybody's on the same page. And of course, because I did choose to pre-open with Sati and I set her up as my default, if I bring myself right on back home, I know that I already had a chance. Let's see here, was this one I was just working on? Ah. I know that I already had a chance to send out these C Street disclosures, but now down at the bottom, that quick button here, I have the ability to pre-open with Sati. Now that I've defaulted her as my contact, it'll go ahead. When I hit pre-open, leads me right into that email. So I can skip some of those extra steps. All right, so making my way right on back home. Of course, I have the ability to send out these disclosures, but I also have my Avid form. So if I would like to go through, complete out an Avid while I'm waiting for these disclosures to come right on in, I can definitely do so. A lot of smart logic options within that Avid process too. It'll pull your geolocation, drop in the current status of the weather. It's got a few different perks you can dictate as well. So it makes filling out that Avid process very smooth, very easy. You can do it in real time while you're at the property. So I don't usually dive too heavily into that Avid. I know some people would like to use it through Breeze. Others prefer to do it a little bit more manually. So definitely I can take a pulse check. If you would like me to demonstrate Avid, more than happy to. Or we can always take a look at questions. How are we feeling, guys? I know it's a lot of information I dropped on you.
No, it's all good. I guess so. Is the only way to add and to adjust it just by chatting? And how immediate is that if like we have certain disclosures that we need added?
Absolutely. So we actually have a feature that's being released. I believe it's at the end of next week, where you'll be able to pull in other disclosures from Forms directly. But if you would like them to be on that quick view option where you can just select with Tay, go ahead and utilize that chat feature. So I have it here. You can jump into support, just provide us that feedback. Hey, been using Breeze. I would love to see these disclosures added. Typically, we have about a 3-week turnaround right now.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, any feedback or anything that you feel would be useful to have in this guided workflow or really alongside within this tool, we are really excited about gaining that feedback now, since we have, our whole team is designed to make sure that Breeze is really providing you with that ease, really solving those pain points. So if you guys do have any feedback, any comments, we're really excited to hear it. Let us know.
Awesome.
Perfect. All right, guys. So if we're not interested in diving into that Avid, do we have any other questions that I can assist with?
Nothing on my end. Thank you for taking the time. This is great.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Kiera. I love that you guys are already using SkySlope. So it's just one more product, one more free product actually for your SkySlope needs. As always, we're always trying to make sure the agent's process is simpler and more efficient and more secure, safe, done right the first time. So appreciate it. If any agents ever want additional training from SkySlope, because it's a Fidelity company, we can always provide that. Just reach out to me and I can get some one-on-one training. We can set up more training in the office, however you'd like to do it. We're always available to help you and your agents.
Thanks, Andrew. That's
Yeah,
really
awesome.
helpful.
This was awesome, you guys. I really appreciate it. For all of the agents on the call, we're going to do something a little different. So we're going to say thank you to Andrew and Kiera, and we're going to bid them a farewell and have a wonderful rest of your day. And then we're just going to talk for a little bit.
All right, take
Rachel,
care, everyone.
thank you both. Rachel,
Welcome.
can I just also add that if you need help with SkySlope, I'm your contact in-house, Sarah Brannon.
Yes, Sarah is amazing, you guys. She is so great. We are so lucky to have her. So you definitely use her.
Thank you, Rachel.